Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy the Keyblade Master and welcome to my channel, and this is Mega Man month. Mainly going through Mega Man X, Zero, and Legends games, and right now I'm going to be starting to review the Mega Man X series now that I've done a Let's Play of Mega Man X, as well as a review of Mega Man Maverick Hunter X, and you can see more of my Let's Plays throughout the month. I've had them automatically scheduled. But right now, I'm going to start reviewing Mega Man X2 for the Super Nintendo. But before I really get into this review, I should tell you I'm playing the Mega Man X collection to do this review. So some of you are probably going, why should this matter? Or what the heck is the Mega Man X collection? Well, about 10 years ago, Capcom released the Mega Man X collection for the GameCube and the PlayStation 2. It's an okay collection. It does have a few useful things. For example, you can now have a save system to save those passwords for the Super Nintendo version. However, you may have noticed I use the Virtual Console to play through my Mega Man X Let's Play. Why would I choose a Virtual Console version when I already have it on the Mega Man X collection? Well, the simple answer to it is that the sound and audio are really screwed up in the Mega Man X collection. It's Achilles' heel, and it is almost a fatal flaw. Listen to these two sound clips from the one from the Mega Man X collection and one from the Wii U version, and I think you'll understand why I say the audio is messed up. The sound mixing is just terrible in the X collection. In case you can't hear it, the audio in the X collection is a lot more muted when it comes to the sound effects. The music just blares over the sound effect. In some games, that would be okay, but in Mega Man, you just need to hear the action and the explosions. And with that muted, it just brings down the enjoyment of the game. So I prefer the Virtual Console version, and I prefer the Super Nintendo version over the X collection. I'm not saying that the X collection is bad. If you own a PS2 but you don't own a Super Nintendo, go out and get it. It's worth it. But if you have another way of playing these games, I suggest them over the X collection. Now that I got that out of the way, let's continue on with Mega Man X2. The story in Mega Man X2 picks up a couple of months after Sigma's defeat. Mega Man X has managed to successfully clear out the rest of Sigma's Mavericks, only to have a new threat show up at his doorstep with the team called the X-Hunters. The X-Hunters have acquired all of Zero's parts and are leading a new rebellion against the Maverick Hunters. So X has to go out, destroy them, as well as find out where Zero parts are held. And now, plot spoiler, if you do the side quest to get Zero parts back, which means going out and finding 3 hard bosses and finding them in stages that you might not be comfortable with, or doing them out of order to get the parts back, your reward is a few good one-liners from Zero, and you get to skip a moderately hard boss before you fight Sigma. This is just such a lame reward, mainly because the guys you have to fight are harder than the fight with Zero himself. Also, I should say that you're going to be doing the bosses out of order if you wish to challenge these guys. So it's just a major pain for very little reward. I really don't recommend doing this side quest. As far as the rest of the story goes, it's typical Mega Man. There's not much narrative really to the plot at all. It's basically just blow stuff up and steal special weapons. But that's what we all love about Mega Man, isn't it? Now I'll start moving on to the graphics. At the time in 1994, the graphics in this game were quite beautiful. The Mega Man X sprite work from the original one is of course reused here. You're not seeing things. He still looks the same. However, they did do some things for rotating the sprite models, as well as doing some 3D wireframes. At the time, games like Donkey Kong Country and Star Fox were coming out, pushing the graphical limitations of the systems. So Capcom kind of felt like they had to do a little bit of something to spice the game up with some of these effects. And they look good at the time. They haven't exactly aged well, but at the same time, they don't really take anything away from the game. It's kind of nice to sit back, see these wire frames appear, and kind of laugh at how cool they looked 20 years ago. The frame rate's pretty good, the backgrounds are nice, and the character designs are still well drawn and developed, typical of a Mega Man game at that time. So I don't really have anything to complain about graphically. Now the music in this game is actually pretty epic. Just like the last one, all the music here is actually pretty memorable and gets stuck in your head. They did a great job on the music. Take a quick listen to the music in one of these stages. The music in this game, as you can tell, is still pretty good, and the sound effects are still pretty good. And this is in spite of some terrible mixing from the Mega Man X collection. It's kind of a shame that the collection had to have that sound trouble, otherwise it would have been a perfect Mega Man X collection. If you can find this game on another platform that has better sound, I do recommend it. Alright, let's talk about the gameplay in this game. It basically functions like all the other Mega Man X games. You have an intro stage, and then you get put right out on the map again, and then you have to choose an enemy boss, go through their stage, defeat them, get their weapon, and then use it against another boss to collect another weapon. Repeat until you get to the final stages. That will probably never change in a Mega Man game. Now, there are some other things you can collect in this game. That's one of the things that differs X from the original series, was just the amount of stuff you can collect. You still have heart tanks, you still have E-sub-tanks, and then you still have those item upgrades that X can collect. That's one of my favorite part about the X series, is each armor that you get in each game functions a little bit different and changes up the gameplay. This armor is not as good as the original X, other than the fact that it lets you air dash. The double shot feature is also kind of cool when you collect the arm upgrade, but I wasn't really big on the helmet upgrade, and the Giga Crush can be useful in some moments, but it's not as useful as having your defense doubled like your armor did in the original Mega Man X series, so I'm a little bit disappointed in that. As far as the basic gameplay goes, it's a platformer, and the stage designs are just up there with the original Mega Man X. Going through each of the stages is fun. However, here's where my problems with X2 come in, unfortunately. Some of the extra stuff that you have to collect is now hard as hell to get. I don't mean that it's hidden well. In Mega Man X, all these upgrades were hidden well, but they weren't extremely frustrating to get. Here, they're put in places where you have to be perfect at timing your button presses to get. For example, the sub-tank in the Bubble Crab stage, I do believe, you have to time your jump out of the water perfectly in order to get this E-tank. It's kind of frustrating. However, the Heart Tank in Crystal Snail stage really takes the cake. You gotta get in this right armor, and then you gotta make like Mario and Yoshi, do a running jump and then ditch the right armor at a certain height, and hope to heck you can coast over to get that heart piece without falling in the pit. After about 15 tries of doing this, I just said screw it and left. That's the problem with this game. Some of these extra items that you can collect are not worth the rewards you get. Kinshiryuken can be collected from one of the item capsules in one of the Sigma stage if you collect everything. I've never gotten it. I have collected that heart piece and I have collected that E-tank, but getting to that capsule is also now hard as heck because of some of the stuff that you have to go through. So what they did, rather than hiding these parts, well, they decided, no, we're just going to put some obstacle that's next to impossible to get past. I hate it. And then you also have those zero pieces I've talked about. They are also worthless. Let me tell you how they function. Okay, after you beat 2 stages, you'll get a message from the X-Hunters that they have the zero parts. And then you start seeing them appear on the map. Now they're hidden inside each stage in a special room that you'll have to find. When they're in that area, you can enter that room and you can fight them for that piece. If you go through a stage, I do believe, and do not enter that room and do not fight them, I do believe they take off with that piece, and you have to have all 3 of them if you want to miss that zero fight. So screwing up on this is really easy. And these boss fights can be extremely hard, especially if you do not have that boss's weakness. Agile, for example, can be extremely hard with the way he can throw his sword beams around. So these guys are not fun to fight, and again, the reward is so simple. You get to skip an easy boss towards the end. Woo! And no, this has no effect on the ending either. So yeah, skip these boss fights. They're not worth it in my opinion, and that's probably the biggest letdown in this game. Like I said, I know I sound like I'm trashing this, but this is still a pretty good game overall. It has tight controls, fun stage design, fun power items. It's just that some of this extra bullcrap that they thrown in is just not fun, and that's kind of unfortunate. This could have been a better game if they had just changed where some of these items are held. It's one of the reasons why I was kind of disappointed when they weren't going to make a Maverick Hunter X2. I give my final score for Mega Man X2 a solid 4 out of 5. It's still a fun game overall. I'm just kind of angry that some of the extra stuff that you have to find, rather than being clever and hiding it well, Capcom decided we're going to put it out in the open, but we're going to just annihilate you for trying to get it, and I hate that. Some of the extra stuff to find is just way too frustrating, and some of the rewards for finding it are just too small, and that brings it down a peg over what Mega Man X was. Still, it's a fun game. I recommend it. If you have a Wii U or a Wii, I think it's on the Virtual Console, definitely worth getting. The graphics and sound also hold up well. The parts in the graphics that don't hold up after 20 years are more amusing to look at than turn offish, if you get my meaning. So I still recommend this game. It's not a bad Mega Man X game. My next game, however, is kind of on the wrong side of bad, and that will be Mega Man X3. So if you want to see it, feel free to click that subscribe button. This is Tommy the Keyblade Master signing out.